The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists. Theo Goodman from the Rare Pepe Blockchain Foundation.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm here to bring you the latest from the Rare Pepe Blockchain Foundation and all of the most important news from Bitcoin, altcoins, and shitcoins.
Tone Vase from Liberty Life Trail.
Hi, everyone. I finally got this to work outdoors. Oh, my God. That was like a 6-month project.
6 months to install a range expander. And I'm Thomas Hunt from the World Crypto Network. Moving on to Issue 1. Issue 1. Bitcoin is money, U.S. judge says. In the case of U.S. versus Mergio in the Southern District of New York, Judge Allison Nathan rejected Anthony Mergio's request to dismiss charges. Mergio argued that Bitcoin was not money as defined by federal law and that his business, Coin.mx, did not require money transmitter licenses. Judge Nathan disagreed, writing that Bitcoins are funds within the plain meaning of that term. Bitcoins can be accepted as a payment for goods and services or bought directly from an exchange with a bank account. They therefore function as a pecuniary resource and are used as a medium of exchange and a means of payment. I ask you, Theo Goodman, are Bitcoins money yet?
Well, of course, as we see in this example, it depends on who you ask. There's always going to be one judge or one lawyer that's going to think that they know better than the next. And, judges like to outdo each other and, depending on how high they are. So let's see what happens. I don't think anyone really knows at this point. It tend to go onto the Beanie Baby side that it would be better if Bitcoin was just like Beanie Babies with a blockchain and, just kind of like a commodity or a collectible, kind of like Rare Pepe blockchain collectible cards. It's an example of the right way to use a blockchain. You need to use it for collectible things, and you can trade the cards with your friends or you can play games with them, but it's really money. I ask you, audience, to comment below in the comments.
I've always thought that about Bitcoin. You've got to collect them all. Tone Vase.
Oh, man. So this story, it's interesting. It's very different than the Florida case. This is a federal case. And federally, it's already been announced that it's money. I believe the Trayvon Shavers case in Texas initially ruled that it was money. And the end result of that was, even though they filed an appeal, I know Jason Sieber was the lawyer, filed an appeal because they were also trying to claim Bitcoin is not money. But before anything happened there, Charlie Shrem's case, he ended up going to jail or prison for it being money because they used the ruling from Texas. That was, I think, Rykoff was the judge on that, the federal judge. And now another federal judge is ruling that it's money. This is actually kind of bad for Bitcoin. You don't really want Bitcoin to be money. Early on, we all wanted it to be money for legitimacy. But now we all realize how bad it is if Bitcoin is money, because now everyone that owns a Bitcoin can literally be a money launderer, like automatically. Like you own a Bitcoin, you are hiding money from the government, like automatically. If it's not in a bank.
But that is what you always say, Tone, that Bitcoin is money like cash and that we're all dirty money launderers. So I think the same category still applies.
That's what I always say. I didn't think the government was listening to kind of figure it out. But in that case, there's a lot going on there. And I read the article from Reuters, and I remember when this happened, but I really need to go back and do more research. I like the guy's lawyer, Brian Klein. He knows what he's doing. I know Brian. He's probably the defense lawyer I would call. One of 2 or 3 defense lawyers in the crypto space that I would call. And But the thing is, so the exchange is MX, so it's Mexico, but there are other parties involved, and this is where it gets complicated. There is another party out of Israel, and they seem to have done the hack at JPMorgan, and then somehow this exchange was involved. So I really should have read more details, but it's just article. They're combining hacking JP Morgan, selling accounts, and somehow that has to do with the guy that was running an exchange. It's weird. Like everything is like weird. I just closed the article. Shoot, maybe I can open it back up. I wanted to like get to this one part in that article where they literally jumbled it all together, and it really makes no sense. They're basically just throwing the book at everybody. They just want people to be held accountable because it was a bank. Anytime something happens that involves a bank, it like all hell breaks loose, and everybody needs to be accountable except for the bankers, of course. Those guys can never be accountable. Okay, I got the article. So here's the sentence that I couldn't like out of my mind. It says, authorities have said Coins MX was owned by Gary Shalin, an Israeli man who, along with two others, was charged with running. Now things are open. Was charged with running sprawling computer hacking and fraud schemes targeting a dozen companies, including JP Morgan, and exposing personal data of more than 100 million people. And we'll talk about exposing data in another story on the show. But here's the next sentence. That alleged scheme generated hundreds of millions of dollars of profit through pumping up stock prices, online casinos, money laundering, and other illegal activities, prosecutors said. I'm sorry, to me this sentence really, really makes no sense. I just don't get it. How is this, how are, I mean, if it said, you know, pumping up shit coins, I would totally understand. But it said pumping up stock prices. And what does that have to do with coins.mx? There was another story saying that the feds were buying their coins through coins.mx. It just feels like there are some big parties involved that they're trying to obfuscate from the situation, and they're just throwing the book at these people. I don't know what kind of evidence they have to connect all this. It's also cross-country. I mean, I hope the guy that ran CoinMX was in Mexico and is a Mexican citizen. I'm not sure. I hope the Israeli guys and Israelis.
I think it's just the domain, and I think to even make it more confusing, I believe they were a credit union. What they did is they bought a credit union to start the company, I believe.
Is that the credit union in New Jersey?
I don't know. I'm not going to get into details about that, but
Man.
it just makes it even more complicated. And you know, I'm sure the lawyer fees are really nice on this one. They're milking it.
Oh yeah, this is it's all over the place. But again, it goes to show that the right model remains BTC-E. You stay out of this country. You stay anonymous, and you do a good job. And when you get hacked, no one can even release your data because you use the state-of-the-art encryption system internally, so that no one can break it. I mean, it seems to be fine. And you tell your users you're trading at your own risk because our reputation only goes so far. We can just steal your coins, and you'll never know. Seems to be working for them really nicely.
And it's shocking that they haven't run off with everyone's coins yet. We have no idea how big their reserve is, but it's got to be pretty large.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the exit question. How long before we get a final decision from the U.S. government, Supreme Court, or otherwise, that Bitcoin is indeed money? Follow-up, will I be able to pay my taxes in it? Yes or no? Theo Goodman.
When are we going to get it? When are we going to get? It's going to take 5 to 10 years. And as far as are you going to be able to pay taxes with it? Well, I think you're going to be able to pay your taxes with something green, and that would be a rare Pepe blockchain trading card.
5 to 10 years, so I'll be cruising around my self-driving automobile by then. Tone Vase.
Actually, those questions are kind of interesting. One of them is easy to answer, but I'm thinking about the harder one first. Will you be able to pay your taxes with it? Federal, probably not. Only because the government's very stubborn. It's not that they're going to keep the Bitcoin, right? They can just use a payment processor like Circle. I don't think Coinbase will last too long. But I think out of stubbornness, they won't do it. Locally, I really don't see why not. I really don't see why a city or a state won't allow someone to pay their taxes in Bitcoin, because they'll just go through a payment processor and take the dollars, because they don't really need the Bitcoin. So I can definitely see that happening. I mean, shoot, if it actually brings more money to your government, especially local governments that are now in trouble, and the federal governments don't really want to help them, nor can they help them? This is a different discussion. I don't really see a big deal there, but federally, I don't see it happening anytime soon, mostly because of stubbornness. As for your other question, the Supreme Court, that's going to take a while. That's going to take a long time. I mean, to tell you the truth, this might be as conceited as the next thing sounds. I don't think the Supreme Court wants this case. I don't think they want to rule on this case, because this might be one of the toughest decisions they will ever have to make. And the reason I say this is because I see a bunch of cases going to the Supreme Court, and I'm always sitting there in my living room going, well, I know what I'm going to rule here, and I have no idea how I would rule in this case. I really, really don't. I think it's going to be extremely difficult. I have no idea how they're going to do it. I don't think they know how they're going to do it. I don't think anybody does. It will be a really hard case. Oh, and before we move on to the next story, when you were laughing at me why did it take 6 months to set up a Wi-Fi extender? It's a lot more difficult when you don't pay for your internet. And I'll let people think about how that's working. This is anarchism. This is Bitcoin. This is how some of us live.
Very good, but the correct answer is less than 5 years, and yes. Moving on to issue 2. Issue 2, Yahoo hacked. Yahoo, the failing technology company recently sold to Verizon for $4.8 billion, announced that more than 500 million accounts were hacked in 2014, and that they believe it was state-sponsored. The hack could endanger the Verizon deal, as it was not revealed beforehand. The stolen data includes names, email addresses, dates of birth, telephone numbers, and encrypted passwords. Tone Vase, just business as usual as another large honeypot is hacked? Or does it mean something more, because it could cause the deal to go bad?
I personally don't really care if it causes the deal to go bad. I am neither invested in Yahoo nor Verizon, and I honestly hate both companies. I absolutely hate both companies. And I only hate companies when they personally annoy the shit out of me, and both of these companies have annoyed the shit out of me. So I have multiple emails with Yahoo. Yahoo was the first email service I've ever used. And I thought I was being smart. I had 3 Yahoo email accounts. I had my personal email account. I had my, I guess, throwaway email account that I gave to all of these companies that I registered with throughout the last 15 years. And then I had my professional one that I would give out to, on my resume, because I had Yahoo since early college days. So you had your personal, where you bullshit with your friends. And it was annoying maintaining those 3 email accounts. And as it turns out, the one that became most important was my throwaway Yahoo email account, because I used it to sign up for basically everything in my life, for all these other things like Facebook and LinkedIn and everything else that needs an email account, and all of your banking and all this stuff. now goes through this account that also gets all the spam. No one ever emails you personally anymore, really. At least not on that one. I have my encrypted email. I probably have about 8 emails. So the annoyance that I have with Yahoo is that they've locked me out of my own emails, all of them, at one time or another, to force me to keep changing passwords that I now keep forgetting, to force me to give them my phone number, to force them to give them my date of birth, all this information that they do not fucking need to provide you with an email address. Now it all gets hacked, and they're like, oh, they have your date of birth. Now they have the important information. My email is not that important. My date of birth is kind of important, and my email and my phone number is kind of important to me, because I've had this phone number for 20 years, and I like the fact that I have a very limited number of telemarketers calling me on my cell phone. So Yahoo's been like driving me up the wall. Also, this hack took place 2 years ago, and now I'm being bombarded by emails from Yahoo that I need to change my password because of this hack. Well, maybe this email 2 years ago would have been a little more useful than it is today, right? Verizon is pissing me off because they wouldn't let me keep my unlimited data with their cell phone. Maybe because I was running my entire apartment with it at the time, racking up, 80 gigs of Verizon data on my cell phone. But hey, they signed the contract with me 8 years ago that I never re-signed and never broken. But they wouldn't let me keep that after I moved that number over to Google Fi. Here's a plug to Google Fi. I love their cell phone service, so I dumped Verizon for that. So Verizon's been pissing me off as well. So I don't mind those. As far as the data breach goes, I've said this during the LinkedIn hack. I said this during all these other hacks. There is 3 important internet security feature. 3 things are important in internet security, and then there's a close fourth. The first one is your internet security is maintaining a nuclear facility. Also includes, biological and chemical things that will basically wipe out a continent. Your internet security needs to be tight. You are running your country's electric grid. Your internet security better be tight. And the third one is your internet security involves the security of your Bitcoins. Those are the only 3 internet securities that matter. There's a close fourth, which is you're running a hospital and a few people might die. That's a close fourth when it comes to internet security. Everything else is completely irrelevant unless you use those logins and passwords to secure your Bitcoins. Then immediately go and change the security of your Bitcoins. Otherwise, this is I'm not changing my Yahoo passwords. If anyone has them and they breach all my other shit, including my bank, to put the money back in my account, and I'll tell them to go and sue Yahoo. Again, the only because I am not running a nuclear facility, and I am not running a hospital, and I am not running an electric grid, the only internet security that matters to me is how my Bitcoin is being stored, and it's all in cold storage or close to it, with all the passwords in my head.
Wow, this is some tough complaints against Yahoo there, Tone. I gotta say, I very much agree with you on the email security issue. I've had a very old Yahoo account since the beginnings of the internet. And yeah, I remember about 3 or 4 years ago, they started asking me for my phone number every time I logged in, and I keep saying no, and I keep saying no, and every time I kind of chuckle.
I'm still saying no.
I still say no, and I chuckle at it because I'm like, they're like, we need to keep your account secure, and I'm like, well, I've had an account here 15 years, 19 years. It's been 20 years. It's pretty secure. I think I got it under control. Like, I'm not going to get locked out of my account. It's never happened once. So just stop asking my phone number. But I do feel for Yahoo. I've used many of their services for a long time. I like their fantasy football, fantasy baseball programs. Very simple. I'm a big fan of Flickr. Of course, they bought Flickr. And I was a big fan of Tumblr until Yahoo bought it. It's kind of been the redheaded stepchild of the internet, and it's really sad to see them almost sold to Verizon and then see this hack go down 2 years ago. It should have been made public in the due diligence of the report. I really don't understand the decision not to make this public beforehand. I know it's going to screw up the sale, but it's going to come out, right?
I mean, I'm sure Verizon now has the opportunity to, lower the price, and but I don't think people care. I don't think anybody cares at this point. I mean, every day it's like now now the joke is who holds the record for having the most accounts hacked. The fact that Yahoo had 500 million accounts tells me that they're still have that many accounts, which is a good thing, right? I think the population is already like synthesized, and like no one cares. People will be pissed as to why they were asking for personal information that they didn't need. But you can also blame the government for that. I think pressure is coming from the government for all of these sites to hold that. By the way, Facebook is another one I'm pissed off at. They have locked down my birth date, and they're no longer allowing me to change my birth date on Facebook. They've sent me a notification saying it's now been locked down. It's not the correct birth date, but it's not what I kind of wanted. So now I've got to screw it. I may have to create a new Facebook account now, and I've had that Facebook since like 2001 or 2 in the early days, back when you needed a college email address. I don't know. Like, all of this is driving me insane. We need better solutions, and they're not scenarios. Sorry.
Well, that is a good point, Tone. But the real irony here is that the company is buying Yahoo essentially for its users, and all of that data is what has just been stolen. So it is pretty funny that they're paying $4.5 billion for something that you could probably just go download at the Pirate Bay. I mean, I don't know what you do with that.
I know. Would have been cheaper to pay the hacker. Oh, yeah. And the whole sorry, one more thing. The whole state-sponsored thing, that's got to be complete bullshit. That's just them covering their ass with a statement that cannot be verified or confirmed. It's like anything happens, blame Russia, blame China. This wasn't happening before internet. Like this.
What if Google was hacked? Like, what if something bigger was hacked? They still need to be protected, even if it is a state sponsor. Your gear needs to be good enough. Like, it's the big game.
Right. This is what it is. I mean, you gotta. It was Russia. Well, maybe we should have. Maybe people should be signing up with the Russian equivalent to Yahoo. For protection for their information. All right. I think I've rambled long enough.
All right. Let's see what Theo Goodman has to say about the Yahoo hack.
I think everyone is missing the boat here. I mean, everyone is complaining and talking about symptoms, and nobody is offering any solutions, and the solutions are right in front of us. If you would have been using a decentralized version of Yahoo on the Pippi chain that is using Counterparty, then you wouldn't have this issue. And then you could even use Yahoo Fantasy Sports and Yahoo Mail, which is a really good service. And the best service is the Yahoo search engine that really delivers the best search engine result page that is on the internet. I mean, it's really good to use that for your search engine results, because then you get a different opinion than Google. Of course, Google is not state sponsored. Google is state influenced from the hackers, according to them. So we don't really know what's going on there. So we need to use our imagination and participate in some token sales, some ICOs that are willing to build the new Yahoo, the new internet that is totally decentralized and on a blockchain, so that we can do all this stuff secure, and it will not be able to be tampered with by some external state. You will be able to use rare PPs worldwide, and no government will be able to intervene.
Excellent work, Theo. Really going to solve the Yahoo problem, I think. Moving on to the exit question. The Yahoo hack will cause the sale to Verizon to fail. Yes or no, Tone Bays?
I don't think so. I think the sale will still go through. They might just get a cheaper price. I had to share my screen because this just made me crack up. I looked at my Twitter. Dark Pill, thank you. Here's the shout out. That's hilarious.
Scroll down a little bit. I can't see the words. What does it say?
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me do it this way then.
Oh, oh, and it's like the ring. You're like coming out of the TV. Nice. Good stuff. All right, Theo Goodman, the Yahoo hack will cause the deal to fail. Yes or no?
No, they'll just have to sell it cheaper.
I also agree. The answer is no. but I don't think they'll affect the sale price. I think they'll just take it in stride. This is just something that happens to internet companies, and Verizon still wants all those properties anyway, so still a good deal. Get Andreas Antonopoulos' new book, The Internet of Money, at purse.io, where it's 5% off just for spending Bitcoins. Sign up today at purse.io. Spend Bitcoins, save money. Issue 3, Bitcoin Unlimited launches. Bitcoin Unlimited, a fork of the Bitcoin testnet, but with support for bigger blocks, mined its first block on Thursday. Roger Ver, early Bitcoin adopter, continues his quest for bigger blocks, has backed the fledgling implementation with the power of his Bitcoin.com brand and what's left of his good name. Theo Goodman, is Bitcoin Unlimited the solution to the Bitcoin scaling problem? Or is this just another altcoin, or should I say, alt implementation, heading for the scrap heap?
I think that it's been verified that these things can cause a lot of problems and a lot of confusion. Let's say, for example, that I own one Guru Papi, one Rare Papi, and 10 shitcoin cards that I bought on the Counterparty Decentral Exchange. And then comes along this other verified chain that's called Bitcoin Unlimited. And it says that it wants to be consumer friendly, consumer confusing, because what does that mean? Bitcoin Unlimited? I get unlimited Bitcoins? Or does that mean it's the fork like with Ethereum Classic? I get 2 for 1. For every Bitcoin, I get an unlimited Bitcoin, but it's not an unlimited Bitcoin. I only get 1. Or if I have a Rare Pipi card on the Bitcoin blockchain, do I get one on the unlimited blockchain, or do I have unlimited Rare Pipi cards? How does that work? And are the Rare Pipi cards verified that are on the unlimited chain? Because all Rare Pipi cards need to be verified by the Rare Pipi Blockchain Foundation. That's how you know they're not imposters. And that's a serious matter. That's why you have to hit us up in Telegram in order to get your Rare Pipi verified. This thing just causing confusion, disorder, and maybe someone needs some attention.
Oh, Tone Vase.
All right. You know what, Thomas? We should write up a disclaimer, like an apology to Roger Ver, because we like him as a person. And then we can just, show the disclaimer and then move on with, because we do this.
I do think it's funny that last time we went out of our way to do a huge disclaimer and really say, and this is true, we like Roger. We think he's a nice guy. We met him a couple times. Super nice guy. We're just disagreeing with you on the issue of bigger blocks. We know that you're committed. Like, we're not doubting you're committed. But
I think we know what's going on here. If you have a problem, there is a solution. Bigger blocks.
Bigger blocks. So there you go, Tone. There's our disclaimer. But yeah, we should write it up and we should bring it up on the screen. Be like, I don't know. He's asking for this debate. He wants us to discuss it. Like we're discussing it fairly. So
I remain at odds with Roger and the big blockers on this issue. But to me, we had Bitcoin XT, and then we had Classic, and now we have Bitcoin Unlimited. It's the same stuff, and they're trying to like push it in and push it in and push it in. I'm sorry, it's a lose-lose. Even if they get their way, and the reason they will lose is because they will push out the smart developers of Bitcoin and they will replace them with incompetent developers of Bitcoin. Not that I put Gavin Andreessen in the incompetent boat. He was very critical early on. He was important in the beginning, but he has clearly been replaced with better developers. And I think they couldn't wait to remove his admin credentials, and they did. This happened over the Craig Wright thing, the scenario there during consensus. And I think they're happy to get him out. I've never been against Gavin Andresen, but even from that movie, from the documentary, when Gavin Andresen says, yeah, and then I decided to go talk to the CIA, and then like the next day, the last message from Satoshi, I think it's in good hands now, I'm gone. I was pseudo-anonymous, now I'm gone. So there are several things that I was never a big fan of with Gavin Andresen, and I've always disliked Mike Hearn, and I've never been a big fan of Peter R. The first time I ever saw Peter R., he was giving a presentation at Scaling Bitcoin. I attended both Scaling Bitcoins. Unfortunately, I will not make the next Scaling Bitcoin in Italy. I just got an email during our podcast that my proposal to speak at Scaling Bitcoin was not accepted. I don't want to say rejected because they said they had a lot of good submissions, which I'm sure they did. I did not make the cut. Would have been nice to present. But anyway, the first time I ever saw Peter R., he was presenting at the first Scaling Bitcoin. And I just sat there going, oh my God, I disagree with everything this guy says, with everything in his research. And I'm not even like a developer, but what he said made no sense economically and in general. And then the same thing with one of the Tuman brothers. He gave a presentation that I'm like, oh, this makes a lot of sense as to why we shouldn't have big blocks. And then his conclusion is, this is why we need big blocks. And I'm like, what? Well, like, I'm not a developer. Did I just see the same presentation as like you created? But anyway, so I really don't get it. I think this is bad. In that article, Roger says that if blocks were like 50 gigs, people will still make like 1.5 megabyte blocks. No, they won't. The blocks will be 40 gigs because there will be a competitive advantage to fill these blocks to the max in order to gain mining. It's insane. The core team does so much testing and so much analysis, and these guys are just like throwing stuff in there.
Well, and especially now with the Ethereum example, we've seen what can happen with a hard fork gone bad. There's two versions of Ethereum. There's two of every coin. I mean, we've seen this, like the slow and steady way of the Bitcoin core seems to be a contrast to Ethereum's quick and dirty way of doing it. We have to learn from these mistakes, right?
I don't even want to talk about the obvious. Like, I honestly thought that all debates of bigger blocks would end when Ethereum showed us the way. When they became 2 Ethereums, soon to be 3 or more. And I don't want to talk about the obvious. I want to talk about like the not so obvious. The fact that you don't know what will happen when you do this. You just don't know, and there is no going back. This is why the core team is being so careful. And I know Roger has a problem because he's trying to run a legit business with Bitcoin, where people are buying, widgets. Going back to Economics 101, when people are buying widgets for small amounts of money in Bitcoin, and then Roger needs to move all that, and he's paying like $20 fee. And you know what? It's still cheaper than credit cards. And I own a business, and no one has ever paid in Bitcoin in 3 years. And at this point, I don't want anyone to pay in Bitcoin. It's a regulatory nightmare for me as a business. Not a nightmare, but it could be if a cop came in and paid with Bitcoin, and then they want to, like, my business barely makes any profit. And if a cop came in and paid with Bitcoin for $60, and it's just $60, and then at the end of the year, I get a letter from the IRS. Well, how did you classify that $60? I don't want to deal with it as a business owner and a Bitcoin expert. I don't want to deal with it. There's nobody at my business that runs the register that knows how to even accept Bitcoin at this point, because I am not going to spend half an hour every month to explain to new employees how to accept Bitcoin. Look, I was on the bandwagon of every business needs to accept Bitcoin in 2013. We all were. But today I have totally flipped on that. Look, the dark markets know how to use Bitcoin very well, and it's working for them. Let's see where they take us. I know it's not something people want to hear. It's not
Well,
something Roger
there's
wants
a
to hear.
market right next to the dark markets that needs to accept Bitcoin, and that's the legal medicinal cannabis and the legal recreational cannabis businesses. They both have huge cash problems that could be solved by taking Bitcoin or even maybe storing some of their funds in Bitcoin.
And I'm going to go the other way on this one. I've spoken to a few of those people, and it wasn't like you're like, why don't you use Bitcoin? Why are you going to hire people and buy safes and store all this cash? Why? And then all of a sudden somebody answers, and you're like, oh shit, well that's obvious. And here it is. Legal cannabis is not really legal because it's still illegal federally. So they are in a very, very gray area. And the last thing any of these business owners want to do is to make it a little more gray by then using a gray currency that may or may not be legal on top of their cannabis business that may or may not be legal. And then you're like, oh, well, that makes sense.
It is a very valid explanation. You have to think only break one law at a time, or only use your fake driver's license to drink. Never use your fake driver's license to drive.
Forget that. You got to go all in. You got to go all in. Some of them do. I think some of them do use Bitcoin, but yeah, you're right. I think they have to take a look at their risk. Just wanted to add that sometimes that changing a 1 to a 2 is a small change, but sometimes just changing a 1 to a 2 unloads a whole whoop ass on you and the whole thing crashes. So just keep that in mind when you're talking about all this block size stuff.
Is this some kind of metaphor that you're going one coin, Theo? You're going to double all of our coins by March?
No. I just think I'm not claiming to be a programming expert. I just in complex systems, when you change one variable just by one unit, it's just change it the 5 to a 6. Oh, it's fine. It won't hurt anything. There's a lot of unexpected things that can happen.
I'm thinking of what else I can add that's just not obvious. Look, I mean, the obvious thing is if it's a bigger block, it will take longer to propagate through the system. It will. And
from Tone, from what I understand, like the thing with the $20 fee and all that, the bigger block doesn't help anything with that.
I also agree with you. I agree with you that it doesn't help that either. And from what I'm hearing, I know Roger is involved with blockchain.info. I'm not a huge fan of that wallet either because that wallet has failed me a few times back in the day. I'm sure they're better now, but I'm a creature of habit. I don't know how good their engineers are. I know they all of a sudden, we did it on this show like 6 months ago. Boom, they recreated the Lightning Network in like a few months. And we're like, no, why? No, this is, I don't trust it. They seem to, I've heard estimates that it'll take years for Lightning Network to come, and they already have a blueprint for their own. They focus on making a good wallet. Focus on making a good wallet, and I don't know what engineers they have at Bitcoin Unlimited. I trust the engineers at Blockstream. I don't trust any other engineers programming Bitcoin, and I'll leave it at that. I want to see the smaller blocks for as long as possible. I don't think Bitcoin has a lot of competition right now. No one is using those other coins. I'm sure we're going to talk about Monero and Zero Cash very, very soon on the show. I'll save it for that. Yes, Bitcoin is losing its market cap, but that's only because Bitcoin is now a terrible speculative trading tool, and everyone is rushing to the other coins.
Bitcoin is losing market cap because of slow confirmations. Everyone is going into altcoins because they're so fast. Haven't you seen the chart?
That's ridiculous. And if Kyle Torpy, if you're listening to this, there is a sentence in there you need to change. I was gonna text you, but I don't know. I just didn't get around to it. Bitcoin's 10-minute confirmation is a feature, and it's a great feature. It is not a bug. It is not a problem. First of all, Bitcoin settlement is 10 minutes. Bitcoin confirmation is about 3 seconds. Okay, within 3 seconds, you can usually walk away. I'm sorry, no one is gonna double spend buying you a T-shirt. Okay, and if you have to hand that T-shirt over, you can still wait more than 3 seconds. The 10-minute part, it doesn't affect anything. I mean, even gambling sites will let you make small bets with less than one confirmation. And if it's a bigger bet, so you wait for one confirmation. If it's a huge bet, you wait for 6 confirmations. The more you're spending, the longer you wait for confirmation. That's not a problem. Settlement in a credit card world is not instant. Settlement is 3 months. And I know this because I run a business, and I very rarely get a chargeback, but I do. And I have no idea where these chargebacks are coming from. When we get a chargeback, it could be 3 months ago. So Bitcoin's 10-minute settlement, not I know it's called confirmation, but if I'm doing anything with Bitcoin for under $1,000, I'm perfectly happy with after 3 seconds when my wallet notifies me that it's seen by the network.
Excellent points. Theo, anything else to add on this?
No, I'm good.
All right, let's move on to the exit question. Exit question. Best named Bitcoin replacement. Bitcoin Classic, Bitcoin Unlimited, or Bitcoin 2? Theo Goodman.
Has Bitcoin 2 been released yet? I don't know.
I think there was an altcoin called Bitcoin 2. It was kind of early.
I don't know. I think the best Bitcoin replacement, I don't think they're trying to replace Bitcoin. So that's the funny thing. But I think XT Stealth Coin is the way to go.
Bitcoin XT, Tone Bays.
Oh man, I don't know. It's all insanity. I don't know. I like Clams was there you go. Clams. He's recreating Clams.
Clams is an awesome altcoin. That's a good one. It's still around too.
I'm going to go with Bitcoin 2, the Revenge. All the features of Bitcoin that you liked, none of the features that you don't like. It's Bitcoin 2. It's better, has a higher number. Watch out for Bitcoin 3, though, on the horizon. Moving on to predictions or story of the week. Theo Goodman, are you ready with a prediction or a story of the week?
Yes, of course. And ladies and gentlemen, the story of the week is the rise of the Rare Pippy blockchain revolution. And here over at rarepippydirectory.com, you can check out all the Rare Pippy blockchain trading cards that have been verified by the Rare Pippy blockchain trading foundation. Check us out in Telegram at the Rare Pippy Blockchain Trader Group. We're going Pepe crazy. Rare Pippy is the blockchain revolution, and it is the proper way to use a blockchain.
Hey, zoom in on Vinay. I love that one. Zoom in on Vinay. I love that. I love that card. Click on it.
People will be talking a lot about Rare Pepe in the future.
Well, we can only.
They were talking about blockchain.
That's a rare one. Only 999 of that one have been issued, and that's not a bad one. Oh dear, you poor lost lambs, alone in the future with nowhere to turn. If only you told me what you were afraid of in the beginning, I could have made it all better.
I love that one. That was my favorite. Oh man, how do I want one. I'm not gonna buy one, but I would love a meme on that one. I would love a meme.
Very good.
I've never used Counterparty. I've never used assets. I have no idea how to use that stuff.
It's 100% decentralized blockchain revolution.
My technical competency began and ended with Bitcoin. I'm surprised I made it this far.
I'll have to get you set
That's
up
all.
on Counterparty Tone. Are you ready with a prediction or a story of the week?
I actually am ready this time. I have a story of the week. So my story of the week involves what happens in the Bitcoin space when you make a decent amount of money, and you end up in Florida. So this is the story of, and I'm sure people have seen it by now, the story of the founders of Paxful. I want to say Paxum, Paxful. And their CEO, I believe CTO, and one more, probably another C-level manager of their little company. So they decided to have some fun, and they all ended up getting arrested in Miami because they deserve my Darwin Award for the year. That was just stupidity. Of all the arrests in the Bitcoin space, you really want to at least have it Bitcoin related, and this wasn't. They decided to go on the roof and show off their guns. They didn't shoot the guns. They were just posing with their guns, which I hope were purchased legally. And the ski masks and other masks didn't help. It also doesn't help that the CEO's name is Mohammed, who I know as Ray. And the news, because I know the guys and I know they didn't mean any harm, I really want to say the news reports blew it out of proportion. But then again, when you have masked men with Russian and Arabic names walking around posing with guns, large guns, it's hard to say that it wasn't blown out of proportion. You got to play the video. You got to play the video, Thomas.
I'll look for the video. Let's see what we got here. Oh, it doesn't look like they have the video on this side.
Oh, not on that one. Look at the link that I. Oh, look at if you have the link that I sent from the local 10 news. I don't know if it made national news. I would be kind of surprised if it didn't, because it looked bad. Like, I know it's not bad because I've actually met the guys. Like I know the guys, which is like, so I know they didn't mean bad, but it looks bad. And the only thing that I found surprising is that when they said they broke into their apartment and they found, the guns, a bunch of ammo, cocaine, hookers. They were missing hookers. I can't believe they didn't find any hookers. Yeah, you don't really need sound, but yeah, there's one clip in there that kind of says it all. Come on, there you go. Yeah, that doesn't look good. If you go back to when you're walking, yeah, that does not look good. That looks like that looks bad. So it looks bad. It is bad. I honestly think they're gonna get off because it'll be hard for them to, if the guns are legal, if the ammo is legal, if there was just enough cocaine to be considered personal use and not distribution, I don't know what they can get them on other than, scaring people, which may or may not be illegal. I'm still curious how the whole clown situation in North Carolina turns out. But but this is what happens when you make a lot of money. And you also have to realize, as Bitcoin people, we are dealing in a gray area. And people need to blow off steam. And the way some people blow off steam is with cocaine and guns. And the way other people blow off steam is, I don't know, they go lay in a pool. But you are dealing with very high-stress businesses. These guys are running Paxful, which is a local Bitcoin's kind of competitor, specifically tailored to Backpage, which is another reason why I'm surprised there were no escorts involved in that situation, because they should be very familiar with them. And you're dealing with people that are already on the edge of the law. And this is what you will get. If you want innovation in Bitcoin, These are the kinds of people that are going to run these profitable companies. And when they make money, they're going to blow off steam a little bit differently than, perhaps a Mark Zuckerberg. And this is what you have to expect and deal with. And I'm glad their company exists. I hope their company remains. They're providing a great service. Obviously, everyone knows about this. Don't do stupid shit. National news. I don't know if they were on national news. I don't own a TV. I use internet for everything. So I have no idea if it was national news.
Shit. Don't do stupid shit.
Yeah. That's my story of the week. I don't know if that's going to be topped anytime soon.
Great stuff, Tone. And also a lesson to all of our libertarian viewers. If you have some nice guns and some nice ski masks, don't wear them together. Even if you're on your own private balcony, it can look really threatening to a lot of other people, and it can expose other things that you may be doing in your house that may not be so legal. Take your photos inside. Take your creepy machine gun toting photos inside. That's a good tip.
Stay away from metropolitan areas.
Stay away from cities. Well, moving on to my story of the week this week, which is had a great time this week with the San Francisco Bitcoin meetup. On Tuesday, we had Andreas Antonopoulos gave a little speech at the Bitcoin meetup. It's great stuff, and you can watch Andreas' speech right here on the World Crypto Network, where we streamed it live. So check it out, Andreas Antonopoulos. He's got a new speech, he's got a new book, and hopefully he'll be traveling somewhere near you, and you can see Andreas speak on his tour. So check it out. Go ahead, Tom.
How was the blown off steam party with Jackson Palmer?
Oh yeah, we also had the blowing off steam party last weekend with Jackson. We had a whole bunch of whiskey and some beer, and we had a karaoke machine at one end. We had a silent disco at the other end. We had some face painting, some LED spinning. It was a great time. Everyone had lots of fun.
One of those. Did everyone, I hope everybody followed the anti-harassment policy and had a good time. The silent disco was the headphone thing or what?
Yep, the silent disco, they had a bunch of wireless headphones. They worked kind of all over the place. And one of the nice parts about that is not everyone likes karaoke. I admit not everyone can sing karaoke, but we invite everyone to. And if you didn't like it, you just put your headphones on. You kept dancing, and you didn't have to like boo or anything. You could just.
I think that we're going to have to have a World Crypto Network totally out of sync karaoke because of internet streaming abilities. Somehow, like a contest.
That would be great. A World Crypto Network karaoke party, like the time we had the pizza party. That was really fun for the. It was for the football game, the Bitcoin football game. We all ate pizza.
The one and only ever Bitcoin Bowl.
That was great.
I just like silent disco, and I'm like, what? Did you guys have the party at the library or something? And then I just got an idea. Oh man, can you like go to like the New York Public Library, like the biggest one? You bring a DJ, you set up the DJ equipment, but you run everything through wireless headphones or through headphones, so that like you're literally having like a disco party at the library, but it's dead silent. I wonder what they will say, right? Because you're not making any noise.
You absolutely could, and that's what was so great about the silent disco is it was around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they kind of came over and turned off the karaoke machine, which was pretty much the end of the party for me. But what was nice about this party is that the silent disco kept going. And the headphones have different colors, like they can light up, so they're like blue or green or red. So you could have 3 different DJs DJing different kind of music, and people are dancing at different beats. And you could walk up to someone and like change your thing to blue, and you're both on blue, and now you can dance at the right beat. It was really a clever and neat idea. I'm not a big dance club guy, but I could see how it'd be totally fun. But yeah, that was the blowing off steam party. Jackson sang a couple songs. I sang a couple songs. Surprisingly little footage of this has come up on the internet so far. Jackson, I think, expected a lot more footage of him singing karaoke would make it out. We did have a great video from Such Wow TV. Check that out on YouTube. We linked to it on my Twitter. Couple of interviews.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't. Surprised you didn't live stream it on Steam it.
We definitely could have live streamed it or tried to do some more periscoping. It's tough to like go to a party and film a party at the same time. It's a little too much.
I think that you need to go to a party, boil some eggs, and video the steam and put that on Steam It.
It was also tough because the Steam It people are so hard to get a handle on. Laura from Such Wow made that video, and it's a great video. It was of the party they paid for. You'd think they'd be interested. It got like 30 cents. No comments at all. Not even like a comment. So it's just
no comment. No
We're heading
comments
to the end of the show.
We're headed to the end
But I
of the
think
road.
that we're at the end of the road. No, this is not karaoke time, ladies and gentlemen, but there are some things that have to do with large mammals.
Oh man, Boys to Men takes me back to my high school days, man.
And that's where we're going to have to leave it. We'll have to sing some karaoke maybe this weekend. But until then, we're out of time. Until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.